G'day Internet, or whatever applies to where you are. This is Cat Tiger, aka Blind Cat Blues, and I thought I would do a revisit of the BrailleNote Touch. I've had mine for 5.5 months now, since about mid-December, and I thought it would be fun to revisit and give my thoughts on what I think of the latest update 3.0, and look at what apps I use on it. And yeah, so some things have changed, some haven't, and just talk in general, how and what I use my BrailleNote for. And yeah, so let's get into this. This is semi-scripted, so hopefully we won't go tangenting off too much. So I think I just mentioned I've had my BrailleNote since mid-December. It's now April 2017. So, yeah, and let's see. So, on a basis, I probably use my BrailleNote definitely on a daily basis. I wouldn't call it my main go-to device, simply because I do have reasons that I think prevent me from calling it a go-to device. And let's just start with the nitty-gritty, that being that the battery life in this is not great. I mean, yeah, it's, yeah, even on standby, it tends to chew through the battery a bit. It has been a bit better since the latest update, I have noticed. I think there was also a bug that kept turning the screen curtain off, which in turn probably sucked our batteries a bit, but HumanWare fixed that, which is good. So apart from the battery issue, it is quite slow to boot up. From off to power on, it is, yeah, pretty slow. And we tend to have our phones are pretty much instant, and we never really turn them off, do we? Except for occasionally. But even then, I'm pretty sure you could race your iPhone to boot this up, and it would still be there. Yeah, probably 2 or 3 times over. But anyway, that is probably the main reason would be efficiency. Let's just talk it down to that. But I do have, in saying that, I do have my calendars synced. My Google Calendar is synced with Keynote, and Keynote's calendar is Key Planner. And that's synced with the Google Calendar, and that in turn is synced with my iTunes calendar. Email. So, yeah, anyway. So let's take a look at the apps. I pretty much write all my YouTube scripts on this, or notes. Yeah, I tend to like the Braille, feeling the Braille, because it's like, I don't know, seems to be better for my spelling, and yeah, makes me think that I can see it or something. Anyway, so let's get into the apps. Accessible weather. That's kicking off at the start with accessible weather. This is a simple weather app. I'm pretty sure it was free, but don't quote me. I need to take note of all this stuff. But, yeah, my bad. Amazon shopping. By the way, it is accessible, but with a name called Accessible Weather, I would hope it would be. So the next app is Amazon Shopping. I haven't actually bought anything off Amazon. I've got an Amazon account that I use with Audible. I buy books through that, and I browse on Amazon Shopping, but I haven't actually bought anything. In saying that, though, I have noticed a difference with the smoothness of browsing things on the BrailleNote Touch in the Amazon app. Blind bargains, well, I'm pretty sure I had this before, this app. It's basically a marketplace for buying and selling blindness and low vision technology. It's quite good. In saying that, I haven't bought anything off it myself, but it also has news updates of technology out there, podcasts from the blind community. So it's also a good source for information as well. Braille Terminal, we know what that is. BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed, I have never really gotten to work properly since day dot. It always seems to crash on me, inevitably. I might get lucky and be able to read one news article and then it'll crash. But, yeah, it doesn't seem to react well at all. Calendar, that's good. Calendar, we know what that is. Camera, Chrome as in the web browser. I don't use Chrome. I haven't really used Chrome since my Zoom Text days, since the days of using Zoom Text. And then obviously when I switched over to screen readers, Chrome wasn't accessible at that time, so I just got used to using Firefox with Windows and Safari with Mac or iOS. But I do hear that it is quite good now. Clock, Combank, that's banking. I'm not really sure about doing banking on that, but I've got it there. I guess I'm just being a bit paranoid about security and stuff, but you know, yeah, I don't know. It is accessible though. Let's see. Connect Drive, what do we got now? Connect Drive. So Connect Drive it's not very accessible, but it's not totally inaccessible. So to start off, Connect Drive is SanDisk's app they use for syncing their wireless USBs, their flash drives and stuff. So it'll wirelessly sync stuff. You can save and download stuff from a USB that is got a wireless connectivity in it, and yeah, so that's kind of cool concept, but not so good on Android and not much better on iOS, but it is usable with workarounds. Dice World, that's our dice games. Docs, Google Docs, downloads, Drive, Google Drive, Dropbox, Easy Unra, which is a unzip app to unzip download folders and stuff, and zip them. Easy Voice Recorder, that's pretty much self-explanatory. Yeah, it's not a bad app. This is the free version. You can get the paid version of this app. It is accessible, and yeah, but it's not my go-to recording app, but it's always good to have a form of recording app, I think. eBay, that seems to be, I've never really had much of a problem with eBay. It didn't seem to have the problems that Amazon had, at least that's what I found anyway. Eloquence, text-to-speech. Facebook, I haven't really had that much, I haven't had any issues really with Facebook on the BrailleNote Touch. I know it's been bashed in general about accessibility lately, and I can't say that I've experienced a lot of the stuff that people are complaining about. I know a while back it had that, they messed up the tabs when they brought in that marketplace thing. And they got rid of the back button for some reason, and they replaced it with the message app button, which was a bit weird, but that seems to have gone back to normal now. So yeah, I don't know. I think in general you're always going to have a few little bugs on Facebook, but so long as it mostly works, I'm okay with that and doesn't crash. Fallen London, that is another game. Gallery, I don't have anything in my gallery. Couldn't be bothered wasting the space. Gmail, I don't use Gmail. I use Gmail. But I do use Gmail on my phone. Godville, that's always a fun go-to waste of time. At least I find it anyway. Goodreads, that is a book recommendation sharing networking app where you can you know, share with your friends and other community what book you're reading and get recommendations based on what other people recommend for you and what you've read and liked in the past. It seems to be accessible. Google, you know what that is, Google Settings, Google Plus, Groups, that is for your Facebook groups. I quite like this app because it's quicker to get to posting stuff on your groups. I do find it crashes sometimes, kind of randomly too. Like I could be typing in the middle of typing a post and it'll crash. So my workaround for that is I type it in keyword, which is good because I can run it through the spell checker anyway, which never hurts. And then I copy and paste it into groups in the field and post it, and that works for me. Hangouts, I don't use Hangouts. Google Keep, KeyBRF. Okay, these are all the Keysoft. I'm so glad Eloquence actually pronounced it as Key Updater and not Key Updater or something. That's a bit weird. Keyword, KNFB Reader. Okay, I love the idea of this app, and I like it on other platforms, but I have not had any success getting a clean photo shot with KNFB Reader on text with the BrailleNote. I don't know, maybe it's just because it's kind of clunky and heavy and sort of awkward. I don't know. Even outside of its case, it's kind of weird, but I don't know, maybe they could make a stand for us or something. That would be cool. But yeah, I tend to get the shots a lot better with my iPhone than with this thing. But of course you can look up the you know, bring up the file from Dropbox and whatnot. So, but anyway, Legend of the Blue Dragon. This is a online text-based MMORPG on your browser, or browser-based. I think it's all within the app on this. It's mostly accessible. I actually haven't tried it since the update, which I might do that after this. But yeah, it did work before the update, and I'm assuming with the improvements to the web browsing, it should be better. It did have its moments where you wouldn't be able to find the focus you wanted. It would sort of jump, if that makes any sense to us screen reader users. You know how when some websites were a bit dodgy, especially with earlier days, things would you'd tab over to something and it would miss, and you'd kind of have to go back and try and tab over again to sometimes get it. That's sort of what this game had. But I certainly wouldn't call it unplayable. Okay, Lookout. That's internet security. I'm not interested in testing how effective that is, by the way. No. Certainly not going to go deliberately downloading vicious things. Anyway. Google Maps. I can't say I've ever used that. I have thought of getting a blind GPS app on this thing, just for the sake of having it there, but I don't know when I'd actually use it, when I'd be somewhere where I wouldn't have my phone or another device, but, you know, maybe, just for funsies, I don't know. Anyway, my TransLink, this is our, Australia's public transport app. You can look up bus and train timetables. I believe it also does city cats, so like, you know, river boat ferries, whatever you want to call them, but we call them city cats. So river transport as well, I believe. And yeah, this app is quite accessible. But I haven't actually looked up a bus on this before. I just realised. I use my phone or my iPad, but it is definitely accessible. Orange Tree. Okay. Don't judge, guys. Orange Tree is it's a boredom simulator where you grow a garden of orange trees. Yeah, it's not even a pet simulator, it's a plant simulator. It's quite accessible though, and I don't know, I guess if it makes you feel all zen and relaxed, who am I to judge? Grow those oranges. Oubliette light. Okay, that's another one I meant to get rid of, but I forgot it was on here. That is it's a semi-accessible game on iOS and not really accessible at all on Android. It's another RPG type game, and yeah. Overcast. I believe that's a podcasting app, but I can't really get this to work on my BrailleNote Touch. But I've got it on iOS. Paladin's Choice. That's a what do they call it? Interactive novel, kind of choose your own adventure type thing. That's yeah, they're quite good to have on the BrailleNote Touch because, you know, I think it's kind of like reading, but it's not quite as boring as regular reading. And once again, very accessible. Photos, what it says. Google Play Books, play games. I don't really use these Google apps except for obviously the Play Store and Play Newsstand. Ponce Game Zone. I still don't know how that's pronounced properly, but I did a review of this game earlier, and I might do a re-review of it because I feel like I didn't do it justice. Without, you know, now that I've got a format set out to review games, I might redo that. But anyway, this is one of my favourite pastimes using the BrailleNote Touch. It's a casino card type games. So, you know, it's got blackjack and poker and yep, a few other ones. And yeah, it's got some nice sound effects in them. So yeah, I quite like it. And it's very accessible. Random Adventure. Yeah, okay, that's another game, and I've been meaning to get rid of that because it's, yeah, not totally accessible, but then, yeah, it's kind of boring. For me, anyway. Sero, also known as, is it iBlind Radio? That's pretty, it was a pretty good, oh, it's still pretty good, I should say. I was just thinking of the old name. Sorry, we're getting in unscripted territory here. Okay, so Sero is, it's a sort of collection of podcasts and audio tutorials made by the blindness community all across the world. on all sorts of issues. It's just basically a information pool, which I think is really good. And a lot of these podcasts that you'll find on here, I'm subscribed to anyway. But this is one way, you know, you could listen into them without subscribing. Settings. Google Sheets. Simple timer. That's pretty much as it says. It's a simple timer. Kind of useful. Slides. Spotify. Now, I've been thinking of making an account with Spotify just so I can sort of synchronize a playlist across my devices. And I believe if they're streaming, they're not actually on my device, so it won't use space, or at least not like, you know, where the music's on your actual player. Anyway, Star Trader RPG. This is one of my favorite games for quite a long time on iOS. I tended to overplay it though, so now I don't really play it that much. Kind of like overdosing on a certain game. Anyway, but yeah, it's a space trading combat simulator. A bit of a sandbox type of game. There is a storyline to it. You can choose to follow it. You can choose not to. But yeah, so it's got sandbox type elements to it, as well as combat and trading, as well as a bit of planetary exploration. I might actually do a review on that if you guys want. Stitcher Podcasts, Totally Random Hero, another one of my favourite time-wasting games. Very simple game, but quite addictive. It's a paid app. TuneIn Radio, as it says, it's a radio streaming app. Yeah, I'd say it's probably 90% accessible. I have come across unlabeled buttons, but you know, that was just like the play button. I tend to be that person that's not really scared of pressing unlabeled buttons to see what they do. So yeah. Twitter for me, I think Twitter for me is one of those apps that is Facebook to other people. It's pretty hot and cold. Like, I find it crashes on me a lot. But then there are times when I haven't even updated it, and I can read my news feed, and I can reply to people and retweet a few things, and it won't crash. But the next time I'll load it, you can bet it'll crash, like, while still loading my news feed or halfway through tweeting. It just seems to be like that for me. Don't know why. Anyway, Unicode, User Guide, VA Connect. That is Vision Australia's online library app where we can download, borrow books. So download and borrow books. So yeah. That has, I've got to give credit to the devs of this one, because when I first put this on my BrailleNote Touch, it was just Crash City. It was just, yeah, terrible. But whatever they've done in the, you know, most recent updates, it's great now. It pretty much works flawlessly with my BrailleNote Touch. So thanks, guys. Victor Reader, Voice Search, YouTube. Okay, now YouTube is just one of those apps, because I've heard so much about it from other people who have the BrailleNote Touch, that I'm just not updating this app. I'm totally not updating this app for as long as I possibly can, because I've just heard, yeah, that it's just got so many issues. So, yeah. Of course, whenever I launch this app, I get attacked by you know, the message that says, please update this app. But I say no later. Anyway, that concludes my review revisit, whatever you want to call this, of the BrailleNote Touch. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of the new update if you've got a BrailleNote Touch. If you're thinking of getting a BrailleNote Touch and you heard some of those apps and you're interested, or even if you've got another BrailleNote Touch and you're interested in some of those apps, want to know more about it, want me to do a review on some of those games that I mentioned, let me know. Yeah, if you want to do a response video on some of the things you've noticed with your BrailleNote Touch since the latest update, let me know. That would be awesome. You know, because there's not much out there, guys, on the BrailleNote Touch right now, being so new. So we're pretty much trendsetters, you know, as far as looking at apps and things. So, you know, let's pull our heads together and see what we can do, eh? Alright, guys. As always, thanks for watching. Take care, happy gaming and safe travels. And I will see you guys in another episode. Peace out.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. See you next time, smiley emoji.